Much of the work created in ORCIDs requires approval. These approvals are managed electronically and stored as part of the piece of work. The Approvals Management page is a time-saving feature for supervisors. This page allows supervisors to approve, reassign, recall/return, or cancel pieces of work sent to them by any worker. Additionally, supervisors can view and reassign pieces of work created, but not yet approved, by those they supervise. While most work can be approved from the Approvals Management page, a case closure for a pre-adoptive case cannot. To open the Approvals Management page, on the ORCID's desktop, click Utilities. Click the Approval menu option, then click the Approvals Management submenu option. This page has 3 group boxes. The Approval Activity group box, which contains 2 radio buttons, and a Worker drop-down list. The next 2 group boxes will change based on which radio button is selected in the Approval Activity group box. When the Manage My Pending Approvals radio button is selected, the page displays the Manage My Pending Approvals group box and the Approval Decision group box. We will review the Reassign Worker Approvals group box later in this training. The Worker drop-down list can be utilized to filter pieces of work that display on the page. The page displays different information based on which radio button you have selected. The page opens defaulting to the Manage My Pending Approval radio button being selected. When this radio button is selected, the Manage My Pending Approvals group box displays all the pieces of work that have been sent to you by another worker or supervisor for approval. Additionally, the third group box on the page is the Approval Decision group box, where a decision about the approval for the selected pieces of work can be made. In the Manage My Pending Approvals group box, you will see a column for checkboxes. The CP, Case Provider, Case Provider Name, Work Type, Worker, Approval Date. Clicking on a column heading sorts the various pieces of work in ascending or descending order based on the column. The checkboxes are available to select as many or as appropriate on which to complete one action from the Approval Decision group box. The Work Type column displays each piece of work as a hyperlink. Clicking on the hyperlink opens the piece of work, allowing the work to be reviewed prior to approval. Pieces of work should never be approved without a full review. After reviewing the pieces of work, you can select the checkbox next to each piece of work that will have the same approval decision. Then, in the Approval Decision group box, you can select one of 4 radio buttons. These buttons include Approve. This function shows that you have approved the work. If the supervisor has security to authorize final approval of this piece of work, the work will be approved and no longer editable. If an additional level of approval is required, ORCIDs will move the piece of work to your supervisor. Reassign. This function will reassign the approval responsibility to another worker or supervisor. Once this radio button is selected, there will be a Select Worker hyperlink available to search for the worker whom the work will be reassigned. Recall/return. This function will return the piece of work to the last person to approve the work. It can also recall a piece of work to yourself. Cancel. This function works similar to a delete function in that the work becomes frozen and will not automatically appear on the ORCID's desktop. Once you have selected to either approve or cancel, and you have the final level of approval, the work is either approved or canceled and cannot be edited any further. Prior to selecting either option, review the work thoroughly to ensure it is complete. Clicking Save is what finalizes the work completed on this page. We have selected the Reassign Worker Approvals radio button and selected a worker from the worker list. When the Reassign Worker Approvals radio button is selected, the page now has a Reassign Worker Approvals and Select Receiving Worker group boxes. The Reassign Worker Approvals function on the Approval Management page is used when you have a worker who initiated a piece of work that now needs approval but is unavailable. For example, an emergency has prevented the worker from coming to the office and the work needs to be approved. All workers you supervise are available in the worker list. Once a worker has been selected, the Reassign Worker Approvals group box displays a row for every piece of work that has been created by that worker but has not yet been approved. This is the same work that appears in the Workers My Approvals Expando. Approvals that have already been approved by the worker and sent to the supervisor for approval but have not yet received supervisor approval will not display in this list. You can either click the Select All checkbox or select the checkboxes next to individual pieces of work that need to be reassigned. Once a checkbox has been selected, the Select Worker hyperlink will appear in the Select Receiving Worker group box. Using this function results in the Approvals History page and Approval History group box being changed to reflect only the worker the work is being reassigned to. It will no longer display the name of the worker who initiated the work. Prior to clicking a checkbox, review the row to ensure you are selecting the appropriate piece of work to reassign. Click the Select All checkbox. In this example, we will show you how to select all pieces of work and reassign them. Click the Select Worker hyperlink. Once you have located the worker to whom the work is being reassigned, click the Select hyperlink next to their name and click Continue to return to the Approvals Management page. In the Select Receiving Worker group box, Luisa Esteban's name displays. Click Save to reassign the approvals. Click Close to return to the desktop. Please review the Approvals Guide for more information on approvals.